All right, let's talk about that dreaded check engine light. I know. Seeing that thing pop on is enough to ruin anyone's day. But hey, figuring out what it means is half the battle, right? And today, we're going to tackle a really specific and super important trouble code.
So, let me guess. The light came on, you went and grabbed your trusty scanner, plugged it in, and now you're staring at a code that's got you thinking about your transmission. If that sounds about right, don't worry. You're definitely not alone, and we're about to figure out exactly what's going on. And if that code happens to be P0730, well, you've come to the right place. We're going to break down what it means, what's likely causing it, and, most importantly, what you need to do next.
Okay, so to really get what this code is all about, you gotta think of your transmission in a super simple way. It's basically a manager of two different speeds. Sounds simple enough, right? Let's get into it.
So first up, you've got power coming in. This is the input speed. It's the raw horsepower coming straight from your engine, and it's spinning a part called the input shaft. Just think of it as pure engine power, ready to be used.
And then, after all the gears inside that transmission do their thing, their magic really, that power gets sent out to the wheels at a totally different speed. That's your output speed, and that's what physically makes your car go.
And right there, that's the whole story behind this code. P0730 literally means incorrect gear ratio. See, your car's computer is smart. It has sensors watching both the input speed and the output speed. It knows exactly what the ratio between them should be in first gear, second gear, and so on. So when it sees a big mismatch, like the engine is revving way up but the wheels aren't spinning as fast as they should be, it throws this code. The bottom line is, the computer knows the transmission is slipping.
Okay, so where do you even begin with something like this? Before your mind jumps to the worst-case scenario and giant repair bills, hold on. There's one place you absolutely, positively have to look first. It's literally the lifeblood of your transmission.
You guessed it, the number one most common reason for a P0730 code is also the simplest and cheapest thing for you to check. We're talking about your transmission fluid.
But why is the fluid so important? Well, automatic transmissions are basically complex hydraulic machines. They need pressurized fluid to make the clutch packs grab and actually shift gears. So if your fluid is low, the system can't build up that pressure. And if it's old and gunky, it won't flow right. Either way, you get the same result, slipping.
So, your first move is a simple two-step check. First, check the level. Pull that dipstick and see where you're at. Now, a heads up, a lot of newer cars don't even have a dipstick anymore, which makes things a bit more complicated. But if you've got one, that's your starting point. Second, you got to check the quality of the fluid.
And this is where you can learn a ton. Good, healthy fluid? It should be a nice, clear red or pink color. Pretty translucent, and it won't really smell like much. But bad fluid, oh, that's a huge red flag. If what you see on that dipstick is dark brown or black, if it smells burnt, and trust me, you'll know that smell. Or worst of all, if it looks kind of glittery with tiny metal shavings, that's a bad sign. That glitter means metal parts are grinding together inside your transmission.
So, let's say your fluid level and quality are actually perfectly fine. Or, on the flip side, maybe it was really, really bad. In either case, it's time to start thinking that the problem is something deeper, something mechanical, happening inside the transmission itself. And this really gets to the heart of it. This isn't like some other check engine codes that might just be a wonky sensor. No way. P0730 is almost always pointing to a real, physical problem. It's your car's way of screaming that something inside the transmission is worn out or maybe even broken. And yeah, there's a whole list of potential suspects in there. We're talking about things like worn-out clutch packs that just can't grab onto the gears anymore. It could be faulty shift solenoids. Those are the little electronic gates that tell the fluid where to go. Could even be a clogged filter. Basically, any one of these key internal parts can fail and cause that slipping that sets off the code.
Okay, so we've established it's almost always a mechanical or fluid issue. But just so we cover all our bases, let's really quickly talk about the less common culprits, the electronics.
And this really says it all, doesn't it? Take a look. The vast majority of the time, we're talking 85%, this code comes back to a mechanical failure or a major fluid problem. Faulty speed sensors, that's maybe 10% of the time. And the computer or wiring itself being the problem, that's a tiny, super rare 5%.
So yeah, it is possible that a speed sensor has gone bad and is feeding the computer garbage information, tricking it into thinking there's a slip. And it's also technically possible, but really, really unlikely, that the main transmission computer is failing. A good tip here is to just make sure your battery and alternator are healthy, because weird voltage can make computers act funny. But honestly, don't start here. This is not where you want to begin your search. All right,
So we've gone through what the code means and all the things that could be causing it. So, what's the verdict? What do you do now? Let's map out a clear plan of attack.
But first, I have to give you a serious warning. This is not a check engine light you can put a piece of tape over and ignore. Every time that transmission slips, it's creating intense heat and friction, and that is actively destroying the parts inside. If you keep driving with this code, you are on a one-way street to complete transmission failure, and that is a very, very expensive repair.
So here's your game plan, plain and simple. Step 1, the DIY check. You need to check that fluid level and quality right away, today. Step 2, if you've got a decent scan tool, look for any other codes that might have popped up. Sometimes you'll see a code for a specific solenoid that can help point you in the right direction. Step 3, and let's be real, this is where most people end up, get professional help. This code almost always means internal problems, and you'll need a transmission shop to really diagnose it. Which brings us to step 4, prepare yourself. The fix is probably going to be an internal repair, a full rebuild, or maybe even a replacement transmission.
So I'll just leave you with this one question. The final fix might be complicated and expensive, yeah? But the very first step, it couldn't be easier. Catching something as simple as low fluid early on could literally be the difference between a small fix and catastrophic failure. So is a 5-minute fluid check worth saving your transmission and potentially thousands of dollars? You bet it is.